Good morning, St. Louis. It's 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. So y'all know what time it is. It's time for the St. Louis Hustle Podcast with your boy Cortez Hustle, my girl Michelle A. And we
Hey,
are talking to you about caring for elderly parents, right? Particularly when their health starts to decline a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about that A word. And no, not that A word. Get your
right.
mind out of the gutter. We're
Ooh,
talking about Alzheimer's this morning and how that's affecting and impacting how we care for our parents as they get into those golden years. So do me a huge favor, comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business and or your brand, smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen, and let's kick it this morning.
Growing up in St. Louis has never been easy, and most say if you want to succeed here, that you must leave and put down roots somewhere else because of the strong crabs in a barrel mentality here.
I don't know if I'm just an optimistic person, but to see people like Chuck Berry and Nelly make it in the music industry, or the Roberts brothers and Dave Stewart in business, or William Lacey Clay Jr. in politics, can we blame the city, or is it that people just aren't hungry enough?
We're talking to all of the movers and shakers in this town, from entertainers to politicians, social activists and organizers, and of course, entrepreneurs.
Is there a curse on this city that holds people back? Is there an unseen hand that decides who makes it and who doesn't? You're about to find out.
Welcome to St. Louis Hustle.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the St. Louis Hustle Podcast. I am your host, Cortez Hustle. That's my girl, Michelle A. And we are coming to you live and direct from the Black Bear Success App Studios right here in St. Louis, Missouri. If you are a Black-owned business and you're trying to figure out how to compete with national brands, you need the right tools, you need the right resources, you need the right templates and training. And guess what? You can get all of that at the Black Bear Success app. Listen, www.blackbearsuccess.com is an all-in-one sales and marketing platform that will have you automating your business, have you streamlining your processes, and have you optimizing your online presence and making more money. And guess what? Our Labor Day special continues. You can start any of our plans with 10% down for the first month. That's as low as $9.70, people. So you can't beat that. Go over to blackbearsuccess.com, check out our pricings and plans, and you will be impressed. I promise you. Chalet.
man,
How was the weekend, sis?
it was good. Real quick, we need to go back to the special. What you need. Now, I ain't no marketing guru, but what you need is a commercial, like the guy on TV that do the insurance commercial for $9.95. You need a brother in the suit. You know what I'm saying? Get your handsome brother and put him in a suit and advertise for $9.95. I won't lie. I went on. I called the call. Said I'm hoping I get him. They said he worked there. I thought, is this Jonathan? Okay, he doesn't really work there anymore. Okay. I went to his LinkedIn. I was trying to connect with Jonathan. Y'all can keep your insurance. I got $9.95 for Jonathan though. Yeah. Sadly, I don't know. It could work. Their marketing is doing well. I did not. They said Jonathan was worth a little bit more than $9.95. I couldn't get him, but I could get the insurance. So
Right.
it's all about the sales. So, but yeah, my weekend was good. Labor Day was pretty cool. We hung out at Kai's house, my younger daughter, and she actually cooked. Her dad was in town, and so it was a nice little gathering that we did. And she cooked. Took about 12 years to cook, but that's okay. Nevertheless, she cooked. So that was fun. And Sunday, I discovered that my grandbaby, who I love so much, he's a bully. He's a bully. He's a pint-sized bully, and I'm speaking out against pint-sized bullies, and I'm not taking it anymore. Okay, I took the booger to church. I'm enjoying, church life. I'm serving. I'm doing more, and I'm learning more. I'm growing, getting stronger and stronger. Shout out to Influence. And this little booger, that's where I got caught up. It was a meeting, and I knew babies don't do meetings well. And in this meeting, when I say he kept grabbing my face and he grabbed my chin, it was like, bow. I was like, hey, now I couldn't, everybody know now, don't hotline me. Now my baby 11 months old almost. He's short, but he's stout little guy. So you at the crib, they pop you in the face. You be like, hey, I ain't gonna shake you, but stop that.
I'm gonna get your
room
attention.
full of people. I couldn't get his attention. So he was like, oh, I got that off. Grab my face again. Bow. I was like, everybody behind me going, that baby just smacked by from her. I'm like, do it again. Man, it was a rumble in the jungle. He was just like, I had to leave the room. Let's go to the bathroom. You wear diapers, but we going to the bathroom, sir.
Yeah. He didn't want that smoke, did he?
He really didn't. Really, because I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't want to smoke. He wasn't that round. It kind of was what it was, but yeah, he's a bully.
You still got to push him down even in public sometimes.
Right.
Hey.
I got to wait till he can walk. It's unfair when they can't walk yet. He just standing up, getting his leverage, and it's funny at home, but in public, not so much.
That's perfect. So you set him down and let him fall a couple of times. And he walks all the time at home. I don't know what's going on here.
His equilibrium is off. What's wrong with you, sugar? Get it together, girl. Yeah, but yeah, that was the weekend. That was the weekend. What about you and Sugar? What y'all get into? Y'all always doing stuff.
It was a 2-for weekend because of Labor Day. Normally we try to catch a movie or something. We got 2 movies over the weekend.
Okay.
The first was Honk for Jesus, which started out strong. It ended weird as a mug, though.
Honk for Jesus. I need you to enunciate because it ain't like that. I didn't hear I heard you and him and a P, and I'm like, oh, what are we doing with this? Well, y'all is married, okay? Well,
for Jesus.
Okay.
It's got Regina Hall in it, and I don't know the actor's name, but I love him in This Is Us, the guy who plays Randall, and This Is Us.
The black guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's a flamboyant preacher who has a big congregation, gets himself into some trouble. And then he has to shut it down, and he's trying to resurrect the church.
Was this at the movies, or was this like a Pure Flix thing?
It was at the movies. It was at the movies.
I see.
And I didn't know this because Sugar got mad. She's like, "Why is it only costs us $3 for this movie? They trying to get out black movies and not have them make as much money at the box office."
They had something special this weekend.
It was National Cinema Day or Cinema Weekend or something.
Right. On the weekend when all the black movies premiere. I'm with you, Sugar. I got you, girl. Trying to take our bamboozle. Bamboozle our take.
We then saw yesterday, which made up for the crazy ending on Saturday. Yesterday we saw Breaking, which was about the brother who lost it, snapped, and ended up going into a Wells Fargo with a bomb. Well, he said he had a bomb, and he held him hostage because the VA messed up his check, or they took his check, which was funny because it wasn't his fault. They wasn't supposed to take that man's check, and he ended up getting killed. And it was a true story too, and it wasn't even his mistake. Yeah. And the VA still ain't apologized to that man or sent that man's family his money.
What?
It was weird. Yeah, it was weird. That one was a good one. So it made up for it. So yeah, so that was our weekend. We got a chance to get 2 movies, one better than the other. But I'm a Regina Hall fan, so I go and support. And she produced that too, so I wanted to go.
Did she? Okay. Yeah, she's doing. She's doing a lot, and she's been in the game a minute. So yeah.
That was good. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about how many of you guys are caring for elderly parents, and they're kind of the health is starting to be a challenge, right? And whether it is Alzheimer's, whether it is my mom has a stroke and she's limited on her left side, my in-laws, mother-in-law has had double knee replacement surgery, a father-in-law, couple strokes, and now he's kind of early onset, and it's like it's a serious thing we have to take care of. You folks, so we're gonna get all the way into that, but before we get into any of that, y'all know how we kick off the show. We kick off the show with Michelle A's word of the day. So we're gonna let Michelle, the boyfriend, introduce the Michelle A word of the day.
Where you at?
And now the Michelle I word of the day.
So, hey, party people, what's up? It's your girl, Michelle A. Hey, coming at you with the A word of the day. All right, I want to talk a little bit about being your best potential. I want to talk a little bit about instinct, right? So I have recently been reading a book by T.D. Jakes called Instinct. And if you know me like you know me, you know I love all things T.D. Jakes. He's just an awesome guy, an awesome, phenomenal teacher. He's an awesome everything, right? And so really, really diving into his book, so many inspirational things about just trusting what God put in you, your God-given instinct, that thing that connects with Holy Spirit to do what you do and it leads you. And so there was a really great nugget that stuck out in the book, and I wanted to share that today is the A word of the day. So my nugget goes, all right, and this is in reference to instinct. People with great instincts always transform what they are given into more than it was when it was given to them, right? One more time for the people in the back. People with great instinct always take what's given to them and they transform it into more than it was when it was originally presented, right? That kind of goes back scripturally to the story of the three different guys. I think it was three guys with the talents, the story of the talents in the Bible, where out of the three guys, two of the guys were given talents. They took the talents and reproduced more, right? And then the one guy took his talents and he buried it because he was scared. He didn't know. He didn't want to lose the talent. He didn't want to make his boss mad, but he did nothing with the talents, right? When you have great instinct, you're going to always produce, right? And that just goes back to trusting that innate ability that God put in us all, right? And I think everybody has it. It is just tapping into it and trusting it, leaning on the Holy Spirit to give you that direction with that instinct, to be able to produce more. And it doesn't matter what it is when you produce the more. It could be in seed form, but you take that seed, you plant it, and you water it. Seeds always grow. So think of your instinct as millions and millions of little seeds that you have the opportunity to grow this huge forest with. So my encouragement to you people today is trust the seed, trust what's in you, trust God's plan for you, and grow the things in which he has entrusted you with. Grow your seeds, people. Level up. Hey, that's your A word of the day.
Boom. The
That
Michelle
is.
A word of the
is.
day, brought to you by our good folks over at the Black Bear Success app. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the only all-in-one sales and marketing solution designed with Black entrepreneurs in mind. If you own a business and you're looking to dominate, you're sick and tired of national brands swooping in and taking your customers and causing you to rethink and reevaluate. No, man, you just need the right tools, the right templates, and the right training. And the Black Bear Success app can do that for you. www.blackbearsuccess.com. We got a Labor Day special still going on where as little as $9.70 can get you started for the first 30 days, man. Test it out and see if it doesn't make your business better. So, Michelle, you took a little hiatus as you had some challenges in health, not your personal health, but family health, right? And that led us to today's topic, and I'm glad that you're willing to give us an update and share what you're experiencing as you're helping Pop. So you want to set the stage, give us a little background on how it started and where you guys are, and let's get into some of these stages of this crazy thing called Alzheimer's.
All righty. Wow. I'll just start there. Emoji eyes. Okay. Back in June. So my dad has been living on his own for about 7 years. My mom, who passed in 2015, she was the brains of the operation. And I often believe when she died, she took the brain with her. She's like, I got it. And I'm taking it with me. But so my dad has been navigating for the last 7 years. And with my help, he's been okay. He's been able to live on his own. And again, with help, he was fine. He has always had heart issues. He suffered a major stroke back in 2004. left him paralyzed on the left side. He worked hard to get back where he's walking and being functional again. And so back in June, my dad's 86. So back in June, he was going potty in the middle of the night and, made it to the bathroom, which was a good feat for him. Made it to the bathroom, but when it was time to get up, it was a whole other story. He got stuck. And he struggled to get up, but he started to panic. This, me, at the prerequisite, this discussion with, me, I have to find the humor in things so that I don't cry about everything, because I've been a bawling baby lately. Right. So in his haste to try to get up, he panicked because it started sliding. And so he's like, he's falling off the toilet. And so my dad don't call. 911 is only 3 numbers. He passes up 911. I guess it's quicker to just hit my name in the phone as opposed to dialing 911, because he calls me in a panic at 1 a.m. Help, I'm sliding off the toilet. Help, Michelle. I'm 5 minutes away from him, but I still can't get there before you hit the ground. So he slid off the toilet, and trying to get up, he was so flustered and panicked, he had a heart attack. And so we wound up, calling paramedics. We got him to the emergency room, and he had another heart attack in the emergency room. And so, they wound up keeping him, and doing all that they were doing for him. And so I noticed on the left side, his perception wasn't quite there. And he couldn't see me when I walked in the room, and he already is hard of hearing. So hard of hearing with not seeing me. It led me to press the doctors, because people, if you go to DePaul, you better press some jokers, because I ain't gonna just do it. But I had to press them to do an MRI, because I said something's not right. And when they did the MRI, they discovered that he had suffered another stroke in the frontal lobe. And they said probably what had happened. They asked about how long had the eyesight thing. He'd been a little goofy, and he had been falling before the heart attack. And what they don't believe the heart attack happened same day. They don't believe the stroke happened same day. They believe the stroke happened probably about a week or 2 before. The stroke led to the heart attacks. Gotcha. And so he had been a little goofy in the couple weeks before the heart attack. We just didn't put everything together. And so that stroke actually propelled him he was already having some memory decline, but the stroke propelled him into dementia. It propelled him in at least the second. There's a few different stages. We're going to talk about it in just a second here. But there's a few different stages of dementia. It propelled him into the middle of it. So just through rehab, we thought maybe he would be okay, but he's got blockage on the brain that they can't go in and do a stent. They can't do anything. He's got 80% of his chest is blocked. And the vessels that are blocked, that don't already have stents, they're too small. They're small. If he were younger, they could go in, but with his age and the size of the vessels, they don't want to try it. So they say all we could do is try to make him comfortable and let him live out these days. So with that rehab, which my dad is a booger, Keandre, when I say he was throwing people from rehab out every day, he threw them out every day. He's like, I ain't doing it today or any other day. So I wound up moving him to assisted living. So that's where he is now, which he complained in the hospital that he hated it. He felt like he was in prison. He complained in rehab. He hated it. He felt like he's in prison. He was at the assisted living facility for 2 hours, and we got the call. I don't think I'm gonna like it. It's been 2 hours. You haven't.
We ain't even unpacked yet, man.
Right. The idea was to try to give him as much normalcy as possible, because he can't live on his own. And because he wasn't even really quiet as is kept. I was in denial a little bit. He had started wearing diapers before all this happened. That should have been the clue. He stopped toileting on his own. Then I found out it could have been right around the stroke time. And again, I didn't pick it up. He was sitting in his own juices all day unless somebody came and helped him change, because he couldn't change himself. He couldn't get out of the diaper on his own. He could feed himself, but he would just wait for somebody to bring it to him. He wouldn't get up and go get it. He'd be like, "Ain't nobody gonna come bring me no food. I'm hungry."
Right.
It's right there. So we're in that now, and you know, he probably will never live on his own again. And I mean, he's 86. He kind of has to deal with that. I'm learning a lot because Alzheimer and dementia kind of blends. And so that's part of what we want to, the first part of this discussion, we want to talk about Alzheimer's and dementia because those terms get intertwined. You know, so I just wanted to kind of start us off by kind of separating the two because I learned, you know, dementia is a more general term. You know, it's kind of like saying somebody has heart disease. And inside of having heart disease, it could be hypertension, it could be congestive heart failure, it could be all these different things, but it's termed as heart disease. Dementia is just general. You know, inside of dementia, you can have Alzheimer's, you can have vascular dementia, you can have Lewy body dementia or frontal temporal dementia. And if you have a combination of all those triggers for dementia, it's just called mixed. You know, but all of them are in the dementia family. So I just definitely want to, for those of you that may be dealing with that, like I am, it's helpful because you see your loved one not only decline, but like with my dad, they believe it was the stroke that propelled him, and so his short-term memory, it's like Groundhog Day on repeat. He is waking up reliving the same thing over and over again. He wakes up and he wants to pay his bills.
You know, one of my favorite movies of all times is 50 First Dates. One of my favorite of all times. And if you don't know the movie, Drew Barrymore had an accident, and every day she wakes up, she goes through the same thing. But there was one point, and they talk about her short-term memory. And at one point, they went to the hospital because, you know, this is I don't know, his name is escaping me right now. Her lead character, her love interest in the movie, because he don't believe, and he's like, there's anything we can do. They go to the hospital and they see other patients that are similar. And then they run into the guy who's got the 7-second short-term memory. And they walk in and like, "Hey, I'm Ted. How you doing?" And he's like, "Hey, man, how you doing, man? I'm so-and-so." And then there's a pause. "Hey, I'm Ted. How you doing?" So that short-term memory loss, I'm sure that is something to really have to deal with. So we want to kind of outline some of the stages of Alzheimer's, just general knowledge, and we are not in any way, shape, or form professionals in this field. No. And don't send me letters and emails. I am not trying to treat, diagnose, prevent, or cure any type of disease with what I'm going to say today. But we want to give you some general stuff. And then we also found some helpful information about some common mistakes that caregivers tend to make. And as we are all in what we call this sandwich generation, right? You're raising kids and dealing with elder parents at the same time, right? I wasn't going to say raising parents. Michelle.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Sorry, Lord.
But we're dealing with our older parents, and could be stressful, could be bringing on some anxiety in your life, and we're just trying to help as where we can. So you want to kick us off with the stages?
I am real quick. I wanted to hit some of the things I missed that just are symptoms that you may want to have your loved one checked out. The short-term memory is a big thing. If they're no longer able to keep track of their purse or their wallet, they're forgetting bill paying. Or here's the thing with my dad, he goes the reverse. He went the reverse. He was very he's becoming or has become very OCD about paying bills. That's that he fixates on it, and that's all he thinks about. I got to pay this, I got to pay that. And it's from his long term where he's pulling it, probably pre-stroke, but post-stroke, he's not remembering. You don't have an apartment, you don't have bills anymore. Every day Hey, I need you to go pay my bills. Get some money out, pay my bills. When they can't prepare their own meals anymore, they don't know what to eat, when to eat. They don't remember to eat at all. They're forgetting appointments, etc. And then if they are traveling within their neighborhood and they get turned around and lost. For my dad, it was an apartment building. He got lost in this apartment building. And that was something I missed, all those signs. I missed them, and that is something that if they're exhibiting multiple symptoms, get them checked. There's no definitive test they can do for dementia or Alzheimer's. From what I've been told, they can't specifically test for Alzheimer's until a person's deceased. However, they can do assessments that lead them through where all the dots connect. So
yeah,
definitely.
And it's interesting with the getting turned around thing, and how, from what I understand, a lot of these memory and types of diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson, it's a wearing away of the myelin sheath, right? I trained with my uncle, rest his soul, Uncle Billy, to be an electrician, right? And when you're dealing with electricity, everybody knows that the wiring has insulation around it, right?
Yeah.
And that's why your positive and negative wires can run side by side, because they're protected. Well, what happens with the myelin sheath, that's the insulation on your nerves and your neurons in your brain. When that wears away, all of those things, all of those millions and millions of connections are already on top of each other. Think about a bunch of wires just laying in a pile and how they're all intertwined.
Yeah.
That's how your nerves are. And it's okay because you got that myelin sheath, you got that insulation around them. Well, I understand that Alzheimer's is a wearing away of that. So what happens is now you have raw wires, the copper, and they're touching each other and they're shorting out. And you can't, and that's where those memories, sometimes they're not lost, but sometimes they get confused. One memory from 50 years ago becomes front of mind memory. I've got a friend who his grandfather found himself in Chicago. He lives in St. Louis, because one night he was just like, all right, I'm going to head to the crib, y'all. I'll see y'all in the morning.
Wow.
Well, the crib for him had become his original house in Chicago. He drove all the way to Chicago in an instance of trying to remember where he lived. That was the memory that became real to him. He drove to Chicago, and my friend recounts the story that luckily a police officer was the first person to find him.
Wow.
And called them. It's like, hey man, your grandfather's here, and he said he was trying to get home. And I looked at his driver's license and I see that his home address is in St. Louis. Is everything okay? And I was like, man, nah, everything is not okay. He no longer lives in Chicago. That's where we're from. And so Eden drove to Chicago. So when you see those little signs, and I don't know about you, Michelle, but sometimes it can be embarrassing for our parents. And one of the things I learned, and just watching This Is Us, because that was, the mom went through that. And one of the things she kept getting upset about is they were trying to tell her, Mom, you're right. And she was so upset. So I don't know if you experienced anything like that when your dad, when you're calling out some of those things and they're in denial about, losing some of that memory and that kind of stuff.
I just had to put my hands up. Oh my God. First of all, before dementia knocked on the door, my dad was already a pistol. When I tell you, he is exactly what you said. He is still, in his mind, he's still able to get up and he just forget. Like he sat yesterday, I visited with him, and he had a friend of mine, her and her mom came out and visited with my dad, and he said, I'm okay. I'm better than a lot of these people in here. I can go to the bathroom on my own. And the nurse is standing there like, and he's like, I take my own showers. I can bathe myself. She's like, behind his back, like, oh. But in his mind, He's remembering to when he was doing it. And so when, you know, and one of the things we'll talk about, you know, a little bit later on in the stages is, you know, when you try to you cannot rationalize with a person that has dementia. Don't do it. It's a trick. You can't. Because their rationale is from prior. They're not in the present. They're in the past. And it can be daunting. Again, comic relief. My dad's in memory care now, and whoever came up with the concept of memory care with an assisted living, which I'm a strip it, memory care and assisted living sounds wonderful. Ooh, they can still live like they do at home with 40 other people that had the same thing they have. My dad, he said, listen, now I know y'all think something going on with me, but if one more person come in here and get in the bed with me, I am going to fight. I am going to fight. He said, I have to run somebody out of my room every day. That's kind of comical because, yes, that is happening. There's an older lady, bless her heart, every day she come in there and get in the bed with my daddy. He'd be like, get on out of here. Get on out of here, you sapsucker scone. Scat. They just walk in this room. They walk in each other's rooms. I'm like, who idea was that? And it's everyone. Thank God it's only about, I think it's maybe 25 to 30 people in this wing. But some of them are better off, but I probably say there's a good chunk, probably 5 to 7 of them. They just go where they want. If you don't lock your door, oh, they in their own. And it is, whew, boy, oh boy. So yeah, it is. It's a little daunting, but yeah, he still thinks that he can do everything. And I think that's the toughest part is, you know, that he can't, he thinks he can. And so it becomes a power struggle. You know, the early stages, we'll jump into these early stages and we'll you know, I'll associate as we go along. I'm going to read through some of this because it is some good information. In the early stages of Alzheimer's, a person may function independently. He or she may still drive, work, and take part in social activities. Despite this, the person may feel as if he or she is having memory lapses. That's when you ever have those moments where you're like, hey, I was supposed to be doing something. They get those and they know they're getting them, and it kind of is like, I'm gonna ignore it and just kind of keep it pushing, you know. They forget a location. They forget things that they should know, people's names. Who is that? You know, it kind of comes and goes. The symptoms may not
remember Adam Sandler.
Right.
And,
but you remember Adam Sandler. There it is. Not quite. Let's hope not, sugar. Okay. Symptoms may not be widely apparent at this stage, but family and close friends may take notice, and the doctor would be able to identify symptoms using certain diagnostic tools. I know what probably last December, I noticed some things were hitting and missing with my dad, and I took him to the doctor and they did a memory test, and they asked him to draw a picture of a clock, and he drew a circle, and they said, now put the numbers on the clock. When he put the numbers on the clock, he put them going across the clock. They said, okay, no, that's not quite it. They said the numbers need to go around. He wrote the numbers in counterclockwise. And so it took him about 3 or 4 tries to get it right. They gave him a story, Jack and Jill. One thing I noticed, and this is probably where I get it from, blessing and a curse, when my dad doesn't remember things, he defaults to humor. And they gave him the story of Jack and Jill, and they asked him to repeat it. They asked him, well, they didn't say repeat it. They asked him questions about Jack and Jill. He couldn't remember, so he just started making up his own version of Jack and Jill, which turned out to be X-rated. Who knew, right? I'm like, where do you get that version from? Because that's not the story you was just told.
Jack and Jill got kids and
you heard me?
Right,
Jill been working the street. You heard me? She been working the street, and she doesn't get paid much according to my father's version. Jill needs a new pimp. Whole nother story. So in the early stages, more of those symptoms, they may have difficulties coming up with the right words or the right names for people. Okay, you might want to listen up, Cortez.
Yeah.
Remembering names when introduced to new people, which I'm bad with names, so I might want to pay attention myself. Having difficulty performing tasks in a social or work setting, forgetting material that was just said, losing or misplacing valuable objects, experiencing increased trouble with planning or organizing. So those are some of the symptoms that are kind of exhibited in stage 1. And again, it's kind of hard, because there's so many different versions of that fall into dementia. Unless some of these things present themselves, if you're a loved one, unless they are a senior, you probably will miss them. But who was the comedian that took his life because they said he was entering that he had Lewy body, or he had been diagnosed with Lewy body dementia? Was it Robin Williams? Or was it?
I know Robin Williams did take his life.
I want to say it was him, that he had been diagnosed with Lewy body and he didn't want to go through that. And I believe it was him. And he didn't want to go through the full stages. He wasn't remembering some things. He was noticing it. And I believe that led to him, taking his life. And Robin Williams he might have been in his 60s, but he wasn't, he wasn't what we would consider a senior citizen.
Right.
He wasn't. So, it's a tricky thing, but you got to kind of be on the lookout for it.
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges is we all can relate to not being able to come up with a name, or and we don't see that as a big deal, and sometimes we don't see the progressively getting worse. Sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I've been there. I can relate. Brain fart is something that we just associate it with because that's what we tell ourselves when we're young. We just have a brain fart. So, of course, an older parent or an older man or woman are more susceptible to brain farts, but we don't see it as a big challenge.
Yeah, it's definitely. I've always known about it, and my grandmother. This is another thing. What they say is, because I refuse. Don't you can call it denial. I call it exception. I ain't getting it. My grandmother had it, his mom, and now my dad is dealing with it. It's gonna skip a generation. It's gonna skip several generations because I come against that. I won't have that. I don't have to have it. I can be the exception to the rule and am, as my kids would say. I ain't gotta have that. Ain't my future. I'm so sorry.
And I'll tell you, just from my own personal studies, again, I'm not trying to diagnose, treat, cure, or treat any disease here, but I've watched and read studies of, again, if you know that it is the myelin sheath that is being worn away and is causing some of these neural connectivity issues that lead to these diseases, then you have to ask yourself, okay, how do I improve the myelin sheath? And nobody wants to have this conversation in traditional medicine, but the myelin sheath is made up of cholesterol. And what has been the big push the last 50 years in medicine? Oh, got to get your cholesterol down. Got to get your cholesterol down. Got to get your cholesterol down.
Yeah.
And what have we seen explode in diseases in the last 50 years? Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all of these different dementias. I'm not the one to say that these two things are related, but I will say this: every morning in my coffee, I have about a teaspoon or a tablespoon of coconut oil, because I'm like you, Michelle. I ain't going there. So I'm trying to do things that are known to keep your mental plasticity intact, right? And
there it is.
I read a study where a lady who husband was in early to mid stages of that, and she was trying to get her husband into a study. It's like, no, he's too far gone to go into the study to get this new treatment medicine. They found out that the treatment medicine was MCT was the base of this medicine. So she looked up what is MCT? Medium chain triglycerides. She said, okay, well, if it's MCT, there's got to be MCT somewhere in nature. Where are they getting the MCT from? Guess where the MCT comes from?
Where?
Coconut oil. Medium chain triglycerides. It has a certain way of entering the body, the bloodstream, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I have coconut oil in my coffee every morning. I'm just saying.
I ain't mad at it. I mean, it seemed like it would make you do this
all day long, Michelle. All day long. Like that's why you see me stir or shake every time before I take a drink, because it literally will rise to the top. And if you don't stir, you're just gonna drink straight coconut oil.
Right, it's like an oil spill on top of it. It's like, what is going on?
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, guys. So this middle stage Alzheimer's is typically the longest stage. Help me, Jesus. That's where we at. And can last for from a few to many years. As the disease progresses, the person living with Alzheimer's will require a greater level of care. During a stage, this person may confuse words, get frustrated or angry, my daddy, and act in unexpected ways, such as refusing to bathe, my daddy. Damage to nerve cells in the brain can also make it difficult for a person to express thoughts and perform routine tasks without assistance. So just a lot of that. There are some other symptoms that kind of go from where we just discussed with the early stage. They can increase. So again, being forgetful of events and personal history, feeling moody, withdrawn, especially in socially or mentally challenging situations, being unable to recall information about themselves, like their address or their phone number. My daddy can't remember nothing else, but by golly, he know his bank account. I should have. Sit down. Okay. Experiencing confusion about where they are, what day it is, requiring help choosing proper clothing for the seasons, having trouble controlling the bladder or bowels. Let's see. Changes in their sleep pattern, showing increased tendency to wander or become lost, and in demonstrating personality or behavioral changes, including suspiciousness, delusions, or compulsive repetitive behavior like handwriting or tissue shredding. Let me tell you something. My daddy calls 8 people all day long, right? He calls myself, my children, my sister, her husband, my nieces, and his former companion, and the people at the hospital. Now he's calling all of us in excess of me. I'm getting 10 plus calls a day. The other family members are probably getting, I'd say 8 to 10 a day, but that's like 8 people getting 10 or more calls a day. The hospital or the assisted living says, your dad will come out for breakfast. They make him go to the dining room for breakfast. He eats it. He goes right back to his room. They say he stays in there all day. Sometimes he come out for breakfast. Most time he doesn't. He stays till dinner in the room. He don't come out. Don't want to be bothered. I put 2 and 2 together. Oh, that's because he got a job. Calling 8 people 10 times a day. Each one of us. That's what he doing. This joker need a job in a call center. That's what he need. Anybody hiring? I got a darn good agent for you. He don't take no breaks. He don't need to go bathroom. He got a diaper. Just go right there. 8 people. You know how many phone calls that is a day? That's 80 plus phone calls a day.
A day.
Every day.
And 80 plus. Is there a rotation? You just go through the list?
He just goes through the list.
Yeah.
He is good with the he is master of the redial.
And then sweep back up to the top. Oh, it's time to call Michelle again.
No. I'm sorry. No. You're going to get back to back. This joker going back to back you. He going to call, send him the voicemail. Oh, I know you did. He going to call again, voicemail. Oh, he going to keep calling. And he'll give you about 5 times and he going on. Then he goes to the next rotation. He goes to the next one. Now, yeah, and one of the things that they do, and it mentioned it slightly here, is the personality changes, and he's very, very suspicious. He's very concerned about his finances, and he's very suspicious. What I've discovered is they become suspicious normally with the person that they see the most. Normally, the caretaker gets the brunt of not the goodness and the wonderfulness. They get the brunt of the suspicion. They get the brunt of the anger. If there is, from what I've learned from talking to other people who've dealt with dementia patients, sometimes they're just quiet and humble, and sometimes whatever that personality trait that was more dominant in them, sometimes that's what comes out. And my dad was an aggressive person, so that's what is presenting at all times, is his aggression towards me. So I'm the boogeyman. I've run off to Tahiti with his money, and I've spent it on a new car. I done bought a condo. I done paid my bill and all of the people in St. Louis's bills with his money. And that suspicion it's very real. It's very real in his mind. And if you're not prepared, it can be disturbing and hurting, because it did a number on me. So let me real quick hit the last stage. The final stage of the disease, individuals lose the ability to respond to their environment, to carry on conversation, and eventually to control movement. They may still say words or phrases, but the communication pain becomes difficult. As memory and cognitive skills further decline, personality changes may take place more extensively. They may require, like my dad was assisted living, he really needs skilled nursing, because he needs round-the-clock care, just his medical condition in combination with the mental that's going on. When they're in that last stage, they lose awareness of recent experiences as well as their surrounding. They experience changes in physical ability. They don't walk. They can't sit up. They eventually find it hard to swallow. They eventually stop talking. For some reason, it breaks down the immune system where they catch infections easily. And normally, they say people with dementia, they're prone to pneumonia often. And so, just to be aware that early, middle, and end stage, just be aware of some of those things. I'm going to say this. I was handling it on my own, right? Because I have, a sibling, but she's not really involved. And there are adult children that it was just me. And it was very overwhelming. And I actually reached out to the Alzheimer's Association. They have a St. Louis chapter. We're going to give that information towards the end of the show, but they have a 24-hour helpline for folks that when you are a caregiver and supporting. When I tell you, these people talk me off the ledge on some stuff, and they talk me through some stuff. They let me cry and boo-hoo, and 24 hours a day. They're there. So there are resources out there for caregivers. If you're dealing with someone that has that, take advantage of the resources and get the help that you need. So, I just want to encourage you guys to do that. So I know we want to get to some of these common mistakes that are made when we're taking care of the elderly.
Well, I just want to commend you, Michelle, on reaching out to get the help. Like this cannot be easy. I look at what my mother-in-law and my father-in-law are going through, and how my wife handles it, and then of course my brother-in-law, and my other sisters, sister-in-laws, and things of that nature. It's not easy, and it can be taxing, right? And they have a tribe, right? And for you to be alone, I'm glad that the hotline actually exists. And you are taking advantage of it, because sometimes we get a little bullheaded and like, no, I got this, until you don't, right?
Yeah, I was on my way till I don't.
Okay, good for you. So some common mistakes made by caregivers, now that you know that what Alzheimer's look like, but this could be with, just parents just getting older in general.
Yeah.
Maybe they had a stroke. Maybe it's not Alzheimer's. So my mom is still in great mental health in terms of, her memory and cognition and all of that stuff, but she struggles a little bit. And with, being, having some paralysis on her left side, the most independent woman I know still, Letha calls her, and she like, where you at, Miss Ann? You in them streets? And like, girl, yeah, I'm at the Walmart, I'm at the church, I'm at and can't drive, don't have a car, but you be all over the city all the time. Just be
that's it.
In the streets. But we want to talk about some common mistakes that you could avoid, right? So if you are a caregiver for an older adult, it is important to be aware of the common mistakes often made. These mistakes can cause tension and conflict between the caregivers and older adults, and lead to poorer health outcomes. And this is not just for the older adult, but this is for the caregiver. The stress that can come along with uh, a relationship declining because of this thing, like you being accused by your dad of running off with his money all the time. If you had done the research of that's coming from the Alzheimer's, then that could ruin your relationship down the stretch, and that could be taxing. So here are 6 common mistakes caregivers make and how to avoid them. Number 1, assuming the older adult doesn't need help. And I promise you, if you ask them, no, I had to stop asking my mom. I would call her and say, what do you need? And oh, nothing, I'm okay. So I changed it, Michelle. So I asked her, what does she want? What would you like to have? Okay. Because now it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm needy. But you know what? Now that you ask, I would like to have some ice cream. Now she knows that I live 30 minutes away, and she's trying not to burden me and interrupt my business and all that kind of stuff. I would like to have. And I'm like, Mom, I've told her over and over that there's a difference between perspective, right? I used to say I got to, but now I say I get to. Right? I get to stop what I'm doing and take my mom some ice cream because she's still here. And some people don't have their mom. They don't get to do that anymore. So she doesn't understand. She's trying not to be a burden. I'm like, no, Mom, whatever you need, I'm here. So assuming that they don't need help, as a caregiver, you need to identify the right time to provide help and when you should step back and allow the older adult to be independent, right? But sometimes that window narrows and narrows and narrows. So it literally, those times that you allow them to be independent are fewer and far between as they get older, right? To avoid this mistake, try to involve the older adult in tasks. For example, if you are making dinner, ask if they would like to help chop vegetables. Another way to avoid this mistake is to communicate openly with the older adult about your concerns and why you think they may need help. Observe the older adult, see if they struggle with specific tasks, and offer help when necessary.
That's good. I was before the stroke, and before that, I fell into this. I just assumed my daddy couldn't do it, so I just did it. And what happened was I didn't have boundaries, and abuse was set up because I became Uber Eats. I became a task rabbit. He was like, oh, go get me this, go do this, go over here. And really, there were some things, especially inside of his apartment, there were some things he could do on his own. But oh, Shell is here to the rescue. Right. So now he really do need it. And I'm like, I'm tired, Lord. I'm tired. I should have been, I would have, I needed this advice.
You wore yourself out in the third quarter, and now you're in the fourth quarter. Like, hey,
I'm done. I need somebody else to tap
all
in.
Of those run me here, run me there points. You can use them all up in the third quarter.
All go. When people looking at me like, you do that to your dad? Hey, don't judge me. Get in your lane. I did that in the first 2 quarters. Okay, you just came along in the fourth, man. Oh, good stuff. Oh, am I hitting number 2? Okay, there you go.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, not communicating effectively with the older adult. Lord, why I do number 2? Dadgummit. Not communicating effectively with the older adult. I don't. There it is. It's important to remember that our communication skills can decline as we age. It can make it more challenging to have a conversation with an older adult. Tell me about it. Try to use simple language when talking to an older adult to avoid this mistake. Avoid using jargon or slang terms that they may not understand. You must be patient when communicating with an older adult. Allow them time to process what you are saying so that they can respond. If you're having difficulty communicating with an older adult, it may be helpful to seek a speech therapist or other professional who can help improve communication. My daddy couldn't hear it. So there it is. It's a shouting match. We had to write stuff down. Then now he can't see half the way. And it's I just give up because he'd be like, you say it and then you even get in his ear and shout it. And he'd be like, Come closer. You might as well do this. Be like, come closer. I don't want to. Remember that whole bathing thing? Remember the whole refusing to bathe thing? I don't want to come closer. Okay? I ain't got nothing to say. I thought I did, but now I don't.
That's all right. Forget it. Never mind that.
There it is. I figured out.
Number 3, not providing enough activities or stimulation. Keep the older adult engaged mentally and physically is important. A lack of activities can lead to boredom, depression, and a decline in overall health. To prevent mistakes, try to provide a variety of activities for them to engage in. It could include walks outdoors, games, puzzles, crafts. That's why some of these facilities are amazing. It puts them around people around their age and experience, and they live through some of the same things. Encourage the older adults to socialize with others, either in person or through technology. Tailor the activities of the individual's interests. It is also important that caregivers provide some structure to the day so that the older adult knows what to expect. Be flexible too, because their needs and wants may change.
All right. Number 4, ignoring their feelings and preferences. I don't know where this is going. I'm hoping it says that's the right thing to do because that's what I've been doing. Somehow I got a feeling I might have it wrong. As we age, our feelings and priorities change. It's important to consider these when caring for an older adult. To avoid this mistake, try to have a regular conversation with the older adult about their thoughts and feelings. You can do it. I ain't doing it with my daddy because it's a trap. Respect the older adult's wishes and allow them to decide about their care. Even if you disagree with them, remember their safety and well-being are paramount. Therefore, if their decisions might cause harm, consider asking a healthcare professional to step in. Sometimes it's challenging to understand what an older person is feeling. If this is the case, consider seeking professional help to better understand.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's all I gotta say. Somebody step in, and I think we are so closed off as a community, especially in the Black community, with talking about these issues.
Yep.
Right, amongst each other, to say, you know what, my dad went through that, my mom went through that, my grandma went through that, and here were the mistakes that we realized too late. And passing that information to someone who is just getting into that could be helpful. Number 5, failing to identify potential risks on time. Another common mistake caregivers make is not identifying potential risk on time. It could be anything from a fall hazard in the home to an impending health crisis. To avoid this mistake, you must stay attuned to changes in the older adult's physical and mental state. If you notice any changes, call the doctor and take them to the hospital. You must make sure the home is safe and free from hazards. Consider getting professional help when to assess the risk in the home and develop a plan to mitigate. That is one of the things that I'm looking at now. My mom had this friend who knew somebody to come and change out her front porch steps. And sometimes the male ego, as Charlamagne the God said, is the most fragile thing on earth, right? Because this man should have said, I don't know how to change those steps. I don't know how to do this. But instead, he tried, and it didn't work out too well. So I'm going over and I'm looking at screws sticking up out of the steps. And I'm like, so think about my mom drags her left foot because she doesn't have control. Like that's one of the challenges that she's struck with, and her left hand. And I'm just like, if she gets her foot caught on one of these things and she's like, come on, man. Like,
what are we doing?
Said, I don't know how to do this. This ain't my forte. So she hired somebody. So not only did she pay him, but now we're going to have to pay somebody else to come and
undo it. Right.
He did, because he's trying to set my mom up for failure. Like,
he was thinking, instead of saying, hey, I don't have that skill, he's like, how hard could it be?
Right. That's exactly.
How hard could it be?
He's thinking, hey, take one board off, put another board on to replace it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all you do. Make a box, make a square. Put them in succession.
No,
easy.
No, you don't got this. So
I don't got
it. And so that's the kind of stuff. And then she don't want to move out of her house, but she has a 2-story home, so she's up and down the steps. And I'm like, man, we got to find you a situation where you got your nice ranch. At the very least, you don't have to go up and down the steps. But
absolutely,
nevertheless, that's where we are. So those are 5. I know we said 6, but there was 5 common mistakes that you can look out for as you are entering into. Some of you guys have been in it for a while. If you got some tips that you can provide, please put them in the comments.
Please do.
Help other folks out on this journey. So we're at the top of the hour. Shell, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I want to share the phone number for the Alzheimer's organization association. They do have a St. Louis chapter. As I mentioned, they have a toll-free phone number. It's 1-800-272-3900. That number again, 1-800-272-3900. Or you can go to their website at alz.org. That's alz.org. Again, they can, if you're, here in St. Louis, call the 800 number, give them your zip code. They will, get you registered. Once you're registered, you can call them as many times as you want, day or night. It has proven to be a wealth of information and help for me. So reach out and get help if you need it.
Gotcha. Got that in the show notes and the comments, man. Do not hesitate to reach out for help if you need it, because if you stress out and you break down, you ain't gonna be able to care for nobody, not even yourself, let alone your senior parents. So that's gonna do it for us here at St. Louis Hustle Podcast. Again, thank you guys all for tuning in and catching us. Until we talk to you next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. And hustle up.